Zuri. First of all, you're giving a glam moment this morning.
Well, thank you. Likewise, Queen.
I love the hair. It's a moment. I love it.
Thank
How are
you.
you?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
Girl, I'm so good. I'm so excited to talk to you today. I'm
Thank
super
you. I'm loving
excited.
this background.
Yours too. Like your
Right.
art. I'm here
Yes,
for it.
thank you.
So I want to talk a little bit about, so you were born in Boston, right? But grew
Mhm.
up here in California. What
Mhm.
were your career aspirations as a child? What were you into? What did you dream of becoming when you were a child?
I always was loving performing as a kid. Like I was always gathering the family around to like lip sing some Toni Braxton songs and Mariah Carey songs in the living room. Like I was always making up a dance to show everybody. When I was younger, I was doing like tap dance, I was doing West African dance, and I was in, drama classes. Like I always was like ready, needed to express with my body and my voice. And my parents are very creative people as well. So I grew up in a household of where that was like around drum circles and like, poetry. And it was just, I was very encouraged to express. And I also noticed that as I was growing up and watching things on TV, I would want to be what I would see like in the TV show or on the movie. Like I'd want to be an open heart surgeon, then I'd want to be a psychiatrist, and then I'd want to be, I don't know, a spy, a secret spy. It was like, oh wait, I think, and then I started to understand that I think I just want to like portray all of these things.
Right.
And I want to perform, and that I also have this, it's probably the FOMO in me, but it's like I have this never ending curiosity about learning as many perspectives as possible. And so acting is like my way to do that. Like I get to like tap into one particular, career path or perspective or time period, and like acting is my way to sort of nerd out and learn, and I like to learn with my body. And so it's really like that's where I started to decide like, oh, I think I should study acting. Like I think I just want to be every single one of these things because I'm seeing it on screen or stage.
Wow. I love that perspective. I've heard that a lot from other actors who say the same thing. So,
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah, I guess it's something innate that you gather up when you're a child and you start seeing yourself on screen and you're like, okay, I want to do that, that, and that. So, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
definitely. You attended Spelman and graduated from Spelman with your bachelor's in drama.
Yeah.
Okay, Zori, first of all, my niece, we just dropped her off last week at Spelman.
Oh my gosh.
Freaking out. I have to ask you, first of all, how did that experience help shape and inform your journey into being an actress? And then I also want to know, what advice would you give those incoming seniors who are, leaving
Mhm.
home for the first time in the middle of still a pandemic, and what that looks like, and what advice could you share with them?
I'll start with the advice first because that's like I'm getting excited. And what I would say, I mean, that this pandemic this past year has taught us, and what I learned at Spelman is there is no plan B, like really choose your plan A, like pursue the life that excites you, the life that you're most curious about, and don't worry about what you feel you should be a major in. I mean, at this point, if you've chosen to go, especially if you've chosen to go to Spelman or an HBCU, like you're already defined the odds by saying like, I'm choosing to have this experience for myself when so much of society underscored by white supremacy and westernized learning and pedagogy is trying to tell me to go to like a big PWI. And when you've like made such an intentional choice for yourself, then that means like you want to continue to make intentional choices about your purpose. Like it means that you are already specific about how you want to be used in the world. So I just really, really like, I'm so passionate about telling people to not pursue a backup plan, like to really pursue the life of our dreams. And I know that it's very challenging to do so. And to do it nonetheless. Like this pandemic has shown us life is too short and too long not to be doing what we love. Yeah, and Spelman was the best decision I ever made in my entire life. Like it's it's connected to everything good in my life. And I almost like went somewhere else, you know, that was known for like a great acting program, and it was known as like a big university. And Spelman had a phenomenal drama program for me, and I got to learn my craft through the perspective of the African diaspora from people of African descent. I got to finally, for the first time, study acting in a group of Black women. And like, we're playing all of these iconic Shakespeare characters together, all of these classical theater characters together, and we're learning plays written by Black people and Black women. And as Spelman, I got to learn the history of the world, like well before slavery. I got to learn about the innovations that were going on across the African diaspora. It just empowered me to know how much we invented and created and innovated in a way that I had never learned in my K through 12 upbringing. And so, and also just like not having to represent anymore for like all Black people like I was in K through 12, being at Spelman and just being like the theater girl was it was just so liberating and grounding. And like my roommates we're studying so many, you know, we're studying like robotics, law, you know, all different things. They're all Black women. I'm studying theater, and it's like, wow, we just had so much permission to like play different instruments, to speak different languages. There's just so much diversity amongst Black people, like from all across the diaspora. And we didn't see that on the media growing up. So the fact, just like the passion. And it also gave me this sense of purpose, because once I started to learn about the ritual of storytelling, like that's how I learned about theater at Spelman, was we started to learn like the ritual of storytelling, like how our ancestors pass on stories with our voices and bodies. And that's why, and like that our ancestors have more to say. There's more stories to tell. And like, that's why I'm an actor, you know, and like being so connected to my purpose in that way truly comes from going to Spelman and learning theater from that perspective.
Wow. Oh, girl. That was
so on and on. I could go on and on. Like,
and I could like
literally talk to your niece.
Oh, but Zuri, I'm gonna get with you offline because definitely. That is so good. What would you say after, you know, leaving Spelman, then coming back to California? What would you say your biggest challenge was entering in and booking like your first real job? What would you say your biggest challenge was as a Black woman? You know, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll be really, really honest. A lot of my challenges were because our shows are so proud to like show our cast on the billboards and like on the screen, we still like there's so much excitement about that's being spoken. And so I had a hard time at first acknowledging for myself within that behind the scenes there was so much work to be done, that like I wasn't seeing myself represented behind the scenes. And this is not just like where I am now, but you know, in the audition spaces, just, you know, needing adequate hair and makeup and lighting, and like feeling not considered in the decisions that were being made, and that my experience wasn't being considered, because you know, in the hair and makeup trailer, that's the first place we go as an actor at 5 a.m. to like get grounded, maybe prep the script a little bit more, get on set. Like that's a sacred space. And when that space is microaggressive, or when that space is just like not equipped to have to handle the needs of like, and especially when we're on there as a lead, you know, like feeling like, oh, they know what I look like when they hired me. And you know, I just assume and wanting to be blessed and just assuming that everything's going to be in place. And that is really, really hard when the things behind the scenes do not serve, especially after having gone to Spelman, where it's like I'm gassed up about my
Yeah,
power as a Black
yeah.
woman, my beauty as a Black woman, and then like there is not somebody equipped to bring that beauty out and about, you know, behind the scenes. And yeah, that can be really hard, especially when filming scenes that are like, there might be handcuffs being put on me or anything. Like if that's all white people doing that behind the scenes on the crew, that can feel really triggering, you know? So it's important that the crew and that behind the scenes, there's as much inclusion as there is in front of the scenes. And we are making strides in that direction, and that was challenging. And also the representation, that also matters in the representation of the reps, because that's a very white space as well, with agents and managers, and that's who speaks on our behalf. And especially when this is new and it's like, I'm just grateful this is big, but you know, if they don't know what Black women are going through from their perspective, or if they don't have other Black clients, like that can get really, really challenging and isolating and silencing. So yeah, that's something that I want to ensure Black women have a supportive experience in, especially working in television, when of course they're told like that, you know, their life is completely changed. There's so much to be grateful for. So I want Black women, including myself, to continue to feel safe to speak up when things are still not going well, when it looks like things are going well. And yeah, that's something I learned through my character too, to speak up. And yeah, so all of the above, yeah, that's definitely something where there's so much room for growth, and I'm excited for that change to continue.
Definitely. Well, look, we all love your character, Miss
Thank you.
Williams. We love you in Good Trouble, Zuri. Oh my gosh. I didn't even know that I didn't watch The Fosters. I didn't get into, but I've been all into Good Trouble. I mean, it was a show that I didn't know that I needed, right?
Yes.
I want to ask you and take us back to the audition
Mhm.
process of it all. Like, I always am curious to know. Talk to us about that audition, because you auditioned for the Fosters too, I believe, several times, but didn't get it.
I did.
Break it down
I'm
for us.
so grateful, because if I had booked that, it was just one time, but I had gone in, I think, a couple times for the same character. And yeah, if I had booked that, there's no way I could have played Malika. I'm so glad. Yeah. And that role was great for the, you know, the person who played it. And the contract was not nearly as big as what it like Malika is, you know, there was just something so much greater for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about timing, right? And what's for you is for
Yeah,
you. That's the
exactly.
word. That's
And
the
just
word.
about the power of just booking that room, booking the casting director and just going in. Like, it wasn't personal to me to not book that. It was just like, not yet, you know, there's something greater. And still getting along with those same casting directors cast me later on for Good Trouble.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, break it down for us,
yeah,
Zuri. Talk
that
about the
audition
audition
process.
process. Break it all down. We want to know.
Yeah, that audition process. What I loved about that audition was that all the women in the initial audition in the waiting room looked so different. I mean, we were all Black women of different body types, hairstyles, and skin tones. And it was like, that was rare. There were so many times when I would go into auditions and see a lot of women who have very similar looks to me. And I love that the idea of who Malika was it wasn't constricted to a particular like physical type.
Right.
And when I read the script too, and when I, you know, worked on it in the audition room the first time, I felt so connected to Malika, like to her passion. I was like, oh, this is me, like Black liberation and like chosen family. And then coming off of the Fosters and how groundbreaking that show was, to show this interracial lesbian couple, like raising kids and showing the ins and out of the foster care system. Like, I just knew these creators are like about it, you
Right.
know, like, they're not afraid to do hard things. And so, yeah, I just felt really, I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. And you know, it's like dating, and it's like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
I was looking for this, but oh, this is me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I did that audition, and then I had a call. I had 4 auditions for Good
Wow.
Trouble, and you know, a call back, and then a producer session, and then a test over at Freeform. And yeah, each one, I'm like sweating thinking about it. I'm like, wow, each one's like they were really kicking my butt in those rooms, especially in the producer sessions. And I realize now that it's because they really saw that character in me. And I think that all of the women who were auditioning had some Malika in them. That's a great thing about Malika, is like so many people can relate to her.
Yes, yes.
And yeah, and there was something about like the way that they were continuing to pull more and more out of me in that room was like, regardless of, I at that point I was like, no matter if I whether I book this or not, like it's not personal. I'm getting like a master class in acting. It was like a month long experience of just like learning how to take, direction and like work with all these distractions in the room and like tap into so many different emotions so quickly. It was just a classroom in itself. And I was really grateful for that. Like I was really in a space for that. And it's interesting because during that audition time, I had recently sort of wanted to take a pause on auditioning. I had decided I was teaching yoga part time, and the yoga studio I was at had opened a space in Paris, and I was on this theater tour with a theater group, and I was like, you know what? And it was going to end in New York, which is where a lot of my family is, and I was like, when the tour ends, I'm going to see some family, and I'm going to go to Paris and teach yoga at the studio and just like do theater. Like I'm kind of done. I was just feeling a little discouraged. And then I challenged myself to do 40 days of meditation, 40 days and 40 nights of meditation, just to like center. I was inspired by a friend of mine who did it and started to and got off of my high horse about what I felt like I deserved to book at the time because of my degrees in acting. I had so much to learn about TV acting and TV auditioning. And I think in that meditation time just also allowed me to surrender and start to take some really great classes specifically for television auditioning. And to like, I started to work with a mentor, to shadow a mentor on set who was writing and running a show, a comedy show, and like just started to learn about the writing process, and that just like surrendered to being a student again. And in those 40 days is when of doing all of those things is when the audition for Good Trouble came in. And I felt like, I was welcoming it in
Right.
those days. Yeah, I'm really glad that I didn't give up.
It's very right. Okay, I have so many. I have a few things. So I love that in that process of your meditation, or in the process of you working at the yoga studio and taking the theater classes, you're like almost on the verge of giving it all up.
Mhm.
And you decide, what is the thing that made you decide not to give it up? What was the thing for you? Was there like a moment for you that went off inside that said, okay, just give this a try? Not yet. We're not giving up yet.
Yeah, because I just knew that I would be wondering what if I had tried one more time? What if I had gone on one more audition? Like, and I didn't want to live a life wondering what if, because I'll be in Paris,
Right.
in a much more abundant way with,
Right.
now. And it was like, what's the thing that I would do that would leave me wondering what if? And that like sitting with that question is what help me just trust and stay
Mhm.
grounded. Like I just didn't want to have planted so many seeds
Right.
to not reap the harvest.
Right.
Like I just, it would just that my alignment, like I just wasn't feeling in alignment by doing that. But I felt like I would be escaping, like running
Mhm.
away from something rather than running toward. And I know the difference. And I know when like there will be a time when I do something and I'll be running towards it.
Right.
Um, and that's what starting to take some more classes did, it
Mhm.
was just like I need to lean into the vulnerability of being a student again.
Right.
And yeah, I just started to unpack my real reasons why,
Right.
and that helped me be a little more still.
I
Yeah,
love that. I think that'll help somebody when they watch this. Okay, let's get
absolutely.
into Malika because you
Yeah,
look grown, obviously. So we're 3 seasons in, and
yeah.
I love what's going on with Malika. I love everything about her. I love how she shows up on screen. How much of you are you bringing to the character? Because she, like you said, she's such a relatable character on screen. So many people relate to her. Twitter goes off about her every week. How much of Zuri are you bringing to Malika?
I am bringing all of myself to this character so much. Like as much as feels right for Malika. I mean, what I love about our writers is that I can tell that they learn my voice too, and that they are watching things that I do and am passionate about, and they start to write it in. So I'm bringing so much. And then I start to bring some of Malika into my life too, just
Mhm.
like bringing her, bringing her passion for activism and which I have, but hers is like on the front lines in a
Right.
different way than mine was. And yeah, just like her unapologetic following of her curiosity in life is something that I'm bringing too. Like I would used to like try to explain why I'm doing something or worry about what people think, and she kind of just like goes for it, and then is still honest with the people in her life about it without explaining too much. And yeah, we are definitely very intertwined, she and I. And even some of her fashion, I'm like, oh yeah, I want now after a fitting, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of want that. Like I'm gonna go buy it. Where's that from? You know, different things
Right.
like that. Yeah.
I love it. How much has Malika grown from season one to season three, and where do you want to see her go? What are your hopes and dreams for Malika? Talk to us.
So yeah, Malika has grown so much from season one in the sense that she's holding space for her joy,
Yeah.
and she's holding space for her like liberation. Like she's just like following her curiosity a lot, especially in her romantic life, in a way that I think she was a little more rigid in season one about that. She had I mean, she had a lot to focus on in terms of her personal life, and she was really focused on her survival for
Right.
a long time. And now that she's in a place, and you know, she was in school, she was just focused on surviving, and then making it through school after that. But she had been living in her car before, you know, so she's like sustaining where she is, and now she's able to start to ask herself about like how she wants to dive into her passions a little bit more, and how she wants to experience romance
Right.
in a way that's not conventional. And yeah, I just love that she seems more confident, you know, the way
Yeah.
that she's doing that. Yeah, she seems way more confident. And I think that um her chosen family, like she's also trusting more this chosen family, this coterie, like
Right.
she's leaning into trusting that she can count on them to be family. I think as a former foster kid, she may not have wanted to settle in too much to any family, you
Right.
know, and like she was fiercely independent. And I think now she's like, I can tell she's asking for a little more support.
Right.
She's like welcoming just more community moments, a little bit more. Yeah, I love that. And what I also hope for her
Yes.
in a way that doesn't conflict with this is like with her like family style, chosen family style, is that she also chooses to be her own like primary partner, like she for a
Mm.
while, because she is moving through, she's still unpacking a lot in terms of her relationship with Isaac. And like I just want her to know, because I noticed that like in her life, in choosing to live at the coterie, and then being in back-to-back relationships, like, and then seeking this relationship with her brother and her dad, like those are all amazing things. And I want her to know that she's enough on her own. I want her to know that she can survive in solitude. um I just want her to, and not that I don't want her to be like toxically independent.
Right.
I just want her to know that like I want her to be comfortable in silence and stillness.
Mm.
And I think that will really empower her in the work that she's doing.
Zuri. You're definitely connected. Y'all are intertwined for sure.
Oh, we are like,
Yes.
honey,
I,
she's in me.
I get it. I get it. I
Yeah.
definitely get it. You work a lot with the Black Lives Matter leaders, Patrice. And I want to find out from you, working alongside them, because they also serve as mentors on set for you
Yeah.
guys. working alongside them, how has that changed or shifted your view of activism and what that looks like?
It has complete, yeah, working with Patrice, she has been in the writer's room and totally like enhanced and impacted the way that my character storyline has gone. And then also Dr. Melina Abdullah, one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter LA, like she's also been on set with us as well. And what I've learned from both of them that has opened my eyes so much about activism is the joy, the like multifaceted experience that one can have working in such high stakes, in
Right.
such around so much like trauma, but that they still laugh so much. They still go out to eat, like just normalizing, you know, having a lot going on and showing up for people there. And, you know, we're out to eat and they're answering a call and talking to a family member who's going through something horrendous, and they do so knowing that like the systems that they're fighting were not their fault, you know, but they still dedicate their time to uprooting them. And they like teach me how to move through the resentment about the systems in place and like still just show up and do the work, and to also hold space for their joy and their rest and like their laughter. It's just so healing to see how much they make sure to enjoy their lives as much as possible, you know? Yeah, rather than it all being heavy all the time. I've learned that a lot from them.
Wow, that's really good. That's a blessing that you get a front row seat to that
Oh
teaching.
God. It's changed my life. Working with them has changed my life. Yeah, just becoming friends with them, you know, having them mentor me, like, and just observing them has completely changed my life, strengthened my idea of like my purpose, and also just allowed me to see more of what it really means to be an activist.
Right,
Yeah.
definitely. Zuri, how important is a show like Good Trouble for the people in the back that have
Okay.
not gotten on the bus like the rest of us? How important is this show? Because I feel like you guys tackle some important issues from season one to now. You guys really go there, and that's what I love most about it. But it's a good mixture of it all, right? How
Right.
important is this show?
This show is, it's crucial.
Yes.
This is a show that that I have needed for so long, whether I was in it on the screen or not. Like, I needed to witness this. I needed to witness all of these characters. I needed to witness Malika. I also needed to witness like queer Asian women. I needed to witness bisexual Latino men. Like, I needed to witness non-binary millennials, like exploring polyamory, and just normalizing the fight for social justice and uprooting white supremacy and talking about fragility and like without canceling, like just, you know, ways in which we can come together, collectively liberate, like, and still experience comedy and romance all at the same time. Like, this is a very healing
It is.
experience to be a part of, and the show is going to be iconic. It already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's just, it's groundbreaking. This show is really, really important, and it comes off of, you know, it spins off of such a groundbreaking show and story in itself, just normalizing seeing two women love each other and raise children from different backgrounds. Like, we spin off of that foundation, and now we're in LA showing millennials like
Thriving and striving. Okay.
yeah, and working through hard things and like choosing to show up for each other. I mean, I think that's what's most important about it, is we see people of all different backgrounds showing up for one another and like being willing to be vulnerable and learn while showing up, rather than trying to wait until we're the perfect ally. Like, we are showing how to just show up as best we can to fight for collective freedom.
Right.
And that's what this show is doing. That is the epitome of good trouble
Yeah,
and what
definitely.
John Lewis wanted. Yeah.
Hello, the name speaks for itself.
Mhm.
Okay, tease. Can you tease a little bit about the upcoming episode? I'm excited. I love last week's
Ooh.
episode, Lunar New Year. Tease what's coming up. What can the fans expect? The viewers that are tuning in, and those that will watch it for the first time. I mean, and that's the other
Right.
thing that I like about the show. If you haven't watched,
Yeah.
it's okay. Just get in where you fit in.
Yeah, you really can. Yeah. And
Really,
that's the
you
great
really
thing
can.
about streaming too.
Yes.
Yeah. Whenever you want. Yeah. Well, ooh, what's coming up in the next few episodes is just more liberation, and it's like it's at full speed. It's about to be at full speed of just like exploring romance, the romantic dynamics, exploring sexuality, like just it's really like we are dismantling labels and just like celebrating what it is to be a millennial and step outside of the boxes and just like dive into what excites us. Like that's what's happening. And then there's also a lot of like confronting the past that's coming up, and it gets really juicy. And
Oh,
yeah, it gets juicy.
that's a good
It's
tea.
fun. Yeah.
That's a good tea. Yeah, you had some things. You've been having like a little thing. It's some things going on. I want to see what's gonna be coming up. I'm excited to see how it all pans out.
Mhm. It's gonna
So
be really fun.
Where is the buzz?
oh
Where
yeah.
is the buzz? You said we used to be a single girl.
Oh, where is the buzz?
Ooh.